Hello again, this is Victor James, author of The Megacosm, and I wanted to talk more about Alex Kurtzman. We've seen Kurtzman Trek circle the drain in the past 10 years, culminating in the atrocious Starfleet Academy that's the new load not just for Star Trek, but television as a medium. It's droll, bland, condescending, aimless, and excessively vain in its attempts to subvert expectations and throw an agenda right in the audience's face. So this got me thinking, how was it that at one time I actually liked some things with Kurtzman's name attached to it? And then I remember for a long part of Kurtzman's early career, he was teamed with another writer and creator named Robert Orci. In the late 90s and early 2000s, it was common to just say Kurtzman and Orci, as if that was their actual names. They were like Matt Stone and Trey Parker who created South Park, or the Wachowski brothers who created The Matrix, or the Coen brothers who created some of the best movies ever. For a time, you never saw one without the other. And their early partnership had mixed results. Many don't know, but Kurtzman and Orci actually got their start in Hercules, The Legendary Journey, and even some Xena Warrior Princess. Two shows my friend Rick is obsessed with. Go check out his channel Rick Reviews for some Xena coverage. So the duo are actually brought in to fix the series when Kevin Sorbo suffered a stroke, and they have real creative ways to minimize his time on the screen, like turning him into a pig and doing some flashback episodes to show him as a teen. This got their feet in the Hollywood door, and Kurtzman and Orci hooked up with J.J. Abrams and moved on to a show like Alias, which is well received by the series fans and critics alike. They also hooked up with Michael Bay for The Island, which didn't do too well but actually planted a seed for their big success later. They went on to write the script for Legend of Zorro, which was a sequel to Antonio Banderas' Mask of Zorro, which was relatively a flop and was a terrible sequel to the original, to be honest. But they rebounded in 2006 with Mission Impossible 3, which reignited the Mission Impossible franchise and included plot points that were just now concluded in the final Mission Impossible movie that came out just last year. And their friendship with J.J. Abrams began to bear fruit when the trio hooked up and created the TV show Fringe. Now Fringe is, to me, one of the most underrated sci-fi shows in existence. No one really talks about just how good this show really was. And yes, I know that J.J. Abrams basically mimics other people's ideas, and Fringe is no different. Starring an FBI agent investigating strange phenomenon with a partner, it's basically an X-Files ripoff. But I defy anyone to say that John Noble as Dr. Walter Bishop was not one of the best sci-fi additions in the early 2000s.
All under the same circumstances?
Same as the others, just disappear.
Be damned if I know what to make of it.
Well, we're all victims of our own gene pool. Someone must have peed in yours.
I'm sorry. You'll have to excuse my father.
I might do a separate video on Fringe because I really think that the bad taste people have in their mouths for anything Abrams related has reduced just how good this early seasons really were. Kurtzman and Orci would go on to write other movies and shows with varied success, but they hit pay dirt when they were tapped to reboot Star Trek. Now, full disclosure, I hated these Star Trek reboots. Not as much as I do Kurtzman Trek, but they began the long downward spiral of the franchise that we see in Kurtzman Trek now. I went and watched the first Star Trek reboot movie with my friends in the theater, and I was literally the only one who didn't like it. I felt at the time that it was a sci-fi action movie with the Star Trek name attached to it and nothing else. I prefer my Star Trek to be smarter. But even then, I recognized that my view at the time was the minority, because the movie actually went on to be a box office hit, raking in enough money to demand 2 sequels that did well at the box office too. The duo went on to leverage their relationship with Michael Bay to help develop the Transformers reboot. And again, I absolutely hate the Michael Bay Transformers. I will never apologize for my disgust for this franchise and how it dumbed down the Transformers for the masses, but I cannot deny the massive box office success the Bayformers franchise had. It regularly raked in billions of dollars because China just can't get enough of this slop. This made Kurtzman and Orci basically Hollywood's secret weapons, as their movies made a staggering $3 billion between the years 2005 and 2011. So, love them or hate them, Kurtzman and Orci were box office and viewing gold for a time. So what happened? Well, the duo split apart in 2014. They're going to work together on TV shows, but no longer on film projects. They went on to write movies like The Amazing Spider-Man 2 together, but this left Kurtzman alone with Star Trek, which he took over in 2017 with Star Trek Discovery. This was the first time we truly got to see Alex Kurtzman on his own, and the results have not been good. It's honestly fair to speculate that Orci was the brains, or at least the creative force behind their former success. True, this is only speculation, but it's no different when you split up any dynamic duo to see the results. For example, when Michael Jordan retired, Scottie Pippen was still a good player, but never reached that same pinnacle without him. And the same goes with Brady and Belichick, where Brady went on to win the Super Bowl title in Tampa without Belichick. And all of this is in contrast when Shaq and Kobe split up in 2004. Both went on to win titles without the other, proving that each were prime players in their own right. But the same can't be said of Kurtzman without Orci. Orci pretty much faded from big projects, and we learned later that he was ailing from a kidney disease, which unfortunately took his life at just the age of 51. But Kurtzman has persisted to this day, and we see that he was probably the Scottie Pippen of this duo. Somehow he has remained employed, but has not reached that same pinnacle without his former partner. Perhaps Orci was the man who told Kurtzman no to his crazy ideas, and now we're seeing him without those guardrails. Or maybe Orci was actually the main writer of the more successful ventures, and Kurtzman was his buddy along for the ride. I say this because I can't reconcile Kurtzman as being the same man who wrote something like Fringe. He should know what good sci-fi is because he supposedly wrote it before, but is now doing the complete opposite with his Star Trek trash. So this makes me believe that Orci truly was the brains behind their partnership. I mean, we could probably see it now with Kurtzman on his own. So when I have to pick who is better, I'm going with Orci, just for the fact that Kurtzman on his own is a dumpster fire as a writer, showrunner, and producer. I mean, honestly, I don't know how much better Star Trek would be with Orci's involvement because I don't think the movie reboots were all that great either. But at least they didn't have people vomiting glitter or Klingons in skirts. Klingons in skirts, people. And also want to remind you about my first book in the Megacosm, Fiasco Adventures, that's available on Amazon. This is the first book in the Megacosm that kind of gives you the groundwork of what the Megacosm is all about. It's not a must-read before my second book, The Reekerman, comes out in a few months, but there are some characters that cross over. And I also want to remind you about my novelette, The Mark, which is available on Amazon for 99 cents. This book is actually selling very well these days. People are really enjoying it, so I'd go ahead and give this a pickup too. I mean, it's only 99 cents. And just one last reminder that my website, themegacosm.com, is available for you to read short stories for free, and you can actually go and read my Megacosm thoughts, and actually have a gallery for my characters, and I have linked to my videos and some other articles that you probably haven't read that you don't know that since I write for bleedingfool.com. But that's all I want to say about this. God bless you and keep you. That's it, I'm done.